And tonight, the United States announcing coalition forces have already killed 10,000 ISIS militants. Iraq war veteran Congressman Adam Kinzinger joins us. Good evening, sir. And I would think 10,000, that's a huge number. But I read General Stanley McChrystal's book in which he says they just replaced them.
Well, that's it. 10,000 is a good number. And I think that the DOD needs to be releasing these numbers more. We don't want to get into the trap of judging success like we did in Vietnam by body counts, because we saw there, obviously, that doesn't work. But I've always held that people, getting radicalized in their parents' basement that are looking at the propaganda of ISIS need to see what actually happens. 10,000 people are dead. If you join ISIS, there's a great chance you will die too. And show the living conditions of ISIS soldiers. It's not just a bunch of guys running around with AK-47s, having a good time pillaging towns. It is actually a very devastating way to live. I think we have to show that more. But this, to me, does not say that we're winning the fight. This says we're killing some people, but all you have to do is look at the story you just talked about and look at the land that ISIS is chewing up in Iraq to say, by no means are we winning this.
All right. 10,000. How do we know that?
Well, my guess is, so after you do a strike, you get somewhat of a battle damage assessment. Now,
nobody's on the ground.
No, well, and see, when I was in Iraq, if we destroyed a target or a target was destroyed, people would land and actually do counts. It's called SSE. They're not doing that now. My guess is it's probably somewhat of an estimate. We haven't killed exactly 10,000.
An estimate is a nice word for guess.
Yeah, it's a guess. But again, I think it's got to be somewhat close to that. I do commend the DOD for saying the body count number because, again, we have to message to those that are thinking about going to Turkey and going into Syria and radicalizing and fighting for ISIS, that this is not just a good time at summer camp. This is going to lead to you being killed potentially, but there is no doubt we have to step up the strikes and step up coordination with ground forces.
That would make a lot of sense if I thought that they had some sort of survival instinct. But these fighters, I mean, it's so heroic for them to be to give up their lives, these suicide bombers. So it's sort of like, I'm not so sure how much announcing the 10,000 is an act that would discourage and how much it would encourage.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily the thing that's going to win the war for us, and I want to be very clear on that. But I think, again, I don't think everybody joins to go blow themselves up in a market. People, I mean, that's why they still have a survival instinct when they fight on the battlefield. If they didn't, they'd shoot a gun and simply run out to American soldiers or to Iraqi soldiers. But they fight and try to survive. But what happens is they get into these groups in many cases, and they get radicalized and brainwashed to say, hey, the best thing you can do is drive this explosive-laden Humvee into that building over there, and you're going to go be with Allah.
All right, the dam.
Yeah, it's a huge deal, and it's a strategic advantage for ISIS. I'm sure if it can't be taken back, probably there will be an airstrike on it just to defend the area. But look, this is bad.
What does that do?
It'll flow the water back into the river, and so it creates that natural barrier again.
Should they destroy the dam from the air?
Well, that may be an only option. If it's that or lose ground and have the dam controlled constantly by ISIS.
But that has consequences. You have a dam there because there's a purpose for having a dam in the first place. You want to stop some of the water flow.
That's right.
So if the only solution is to bomb the dam, well, now there's going to be a lot of water flow that's uncontrolled.
Well, we hope that's not the only solution, but this is we're engaged in a situation where there's only bad options right now. And every day that goes by where ISIS gains more territory, they put more vehicle-borne IEDs out, they solidify the area they're in, the choices get worse. And this is why it's essential for the president to do an Oval Office address to the American people, talk about what's happening, and talk about how we are going to win this war against ISIS. To this point, he has not done that, and people don't feel he really has a grasp on this.
Congressman, thank you, sir.
Thanks.